Milton Mo Junction. This video is going to be really about updating the station and continuing on with the station work. The first thing I've done is I've weathered the station platforms. I was never happy with the look of the station platforms. I always had to do something. Problem was I painted them with the textured paint, and they looked fine, but they just looked a bit too bright, a bit too uniform, and all the same, too sort of unrealistic. So I was going to weather them, and I wasn't sure how, but I started off by sanding them quite heavy, and I think that's pretty much done the job I wanted to do. It's given the platforms different textures, different shades, so that it looks like the tarmac's changed over the years. It's different shades of grey, and I'm quite happy with that, so I'm going to leave it at that. Just as I say, just sanding down all the platforms, so that looks good. The next job is the buffers. I want to fit the buffers at the 4 terminating tracks, and I had many ideas of what to use, but I've got some of these old end buffers. They used to have a unit underneath them. I've popped them off, and they're sprung buffers. They're quite good. So what I'm going to do is put them at the end on the platform, and perhaps build a little fence, paint it red around the buffers. I think there might be something similar on the cruise station, but I'm not sure. But I have seen it somewhere, and that's what I think I might do. I also want to put some foliage, bits of grass and greenery on the larger area at the end up here, because I think grass and foliage grows everywhere, and on such a big area like that, I think some bits and pieces will creep in, so I shall do that. Then of course I'm not happy with the back scene over here. It's a bit of a mishmash. I was trying to use up an old back scene I had, but I'm not particularly happy with it. But having watched a Dave Class 47 video on his YouTube channel, Dean Park Station, he's used the self-adhesive back scenes, and I quite like the look of those. And I'm now thinking of laying one across the whole back, so that it covers the bit of wood that I've painted and the back scene, and I'll see what that looks like. So I've ordered one of those. Now the station buildings on these 3 platforms here, this one, and this one, quite a long time ago I watched a channel called Broxfield. It's by a guy called Roger Latimer. It's a lovely, massive, big loft layout, and he's got a station which is built from the old Bachmann Art Deco station buildings, and it really looks the business. And I've got lots of those buildings I've collected over the time, and I'm going to follow his example and join them up and weather them in and glue them together, etc. And so I'll have 3 fairly big stations along these platforms. The outer 2 platforms, certainly this one here, this one is a goods platform or parcels platform rather than a passenger platform, and in the same vein of using bits and pieces up, I've got a lot of the old Hornby platform canopies, so I was thinking of having a row of those along this platform here, paint them as similar to something that Everard Junction's done, paint them perhaps in Network Southeast colours, and put them along this platform here to give a bit of cover for the people working and unloading the parcels and goods. I might see what it looks like on the far platform as well, because at the moment I haven't got any buildings or anything for that, so that might be a way of doing something there, but I'm not 100% certain on that yet. We'll see what it looks like. I've also got to make and build some furniture, or at least signs, station platform signs for this platform, and a few things like perhaps clocks and bits and pieces like that. So that'll be plenty of things to get on with for the platforms here, and hopefully I'll just do that gradually and work away at that and get this area completely finished. I've got to build a at the end here, where there's one platform up the top, I want to join the two stations up, so I thought of building a little escalator, scratch built building, bringing the people from the top to the bottom beside the bridge, build a little scratch built escalator building or ramp to bring them down, and a walkway from the top platform to the top of the escalator. So I've got that to do as well. I've got the roadway all to sort out behind the station and hopefully then that'll be the station area completed, and finish off the brick wall along this side here and the back scene all the way along, and then at least I'll have one complete, quite a large area sceneried out and done. So that's the plan at the moment. At the other end, where I'm building this O gauge layout, I've had a complete rethink on that. I've just taken all the rails up and changed the layout somewhat. It's now going to be a little terminus station with a goods area and just a single line coming in, which gives me an opportunity to put a cassette system on it or something like that at some stage in the future. I did mention earlier that I was thinking of making it a German layout. I still like that idea, but I'm afraid Graham at Lakeside has done such a good job on his English diesel that I've now got a bit of a bug for that. So I may well change it to an English station, or I might leave it so it's pretty vague and it could be either. The only problem is with that is I think German platforms are a lot lower than English platforms because they have the step up to the carriage, but we'll see. I might just get rid of all the German stuff I've already got and go with English, or I might run them as and when I like and keep both, but we'll see. Anyway, I'll keep you updated, so see how it goes. Right, as you can see, I've done a little bit more work on the station area. I wasn't happy with there was too much ballast in that area at the throat of the station after the bridge, so I've broken it up a bit with a bit of greenery. I'll put some bits and pieces in there as well, perhaps a couple of rails and some cabling perhaps. I've also done the greenery, as you see, above the bridge, so that's linked that a little bit more to that corner. I've still got to build a little building of some sort to bring an escalator down from the top platform down to the bottom area, fit the buffers and some fencing around it, and then that sort of area is complete, and I'll continue with the platforms. But that's what I've done at the moment. Well, it seems a long time since I created the first part of the video to show you what work I've done up the end of the station. I've been dragged off to the south of France by my wife for nearly a month and so haven't been able to do any work on it. So what I thought I'd do is publish this video now, show you what I've done and also what I intend to do in the future. I've created some some of the signs and things for the station while I've been away. That's a few of them there. And I've also done a lot of thinking about the layout. Most of the problem, I think, with this layout revolves around access to the fiddle yard, which is under here. And I've been having a bit of a rethink about it. So I'll just show you what I mean. Right, one of the problems, to get to the fiddle yard from this end, I've created a sort of elongated helix which follows it round, as you can see. This in itself causes problems. One is this bit here, it gets in the way basically. To get to the far end, which I'm now working on quite a bit, I have to keep ducking under that and it gets in the way. There's not a lot of room to work, so I shall do away with this completely. The other problem is a lot of this point work up here, with the point motors being underneath and all the wiring, if there's a fault I shall not be able to get to it because there is not enough room to work where this helix goes down very close to the bottom of it. So that will do away with that problem. And the third problem is, because the drop down starts at this end and I had to break into it to split it so that the track could continue round on the normal level, it's on a sort of slope, both the drop down and the climb back up, which I hadn't really intended, but there's no way else to do it in the way it was sort of designed. And that causes a bit of a dip just where we're looking at here, and some coaches get uncoupled. So I'll do away with that and I'll just make this area here all completely level. So that will do away with that. Excuse me. There'll be no access to the fiddle yard at all from this end. So what I shall do is, at this end of the fiddle yard here, I'll put a point in which makes it both sides go into one rail track. That track will be a short 2-foot length, which will be just enough for any engine that comes down from the other end to uncouple with the automatic uncoupling at this end, leave the train behind, go to that bit of straight I'm talking about, and come back on any one of the other lines at all to go back up the other end to join up with the train and take it back out. So all the access to the fiddle yard will be from this end via the main helix up there. The helix itself I've never been particularly happy with, having seen other people's helixes on YouTube and how well they work. I think mine's a little bit too small and a little bit too tight to curves. So certainly for the inner track anyway. So a way around that would be, again, to join the two into one up at the top here somewhere. So we just have one track going down the helix, obviously the bigger radius as possible, coming out at the bottom here, joining into, or splitting into the two sides so it can access any of these lines at all. So that should sort out pretty much all the problems I've got on the layout all in one go. I mean, it involves a bit of work, but that should solve the problems. So that's something to do for the future. The only other update I've got to tell you about is I've purchased myself a O-gauge class 33. It's a Helgen, so I'm being a bit lazy. Not like Graham, I'm not building my own. So it's a bit of a letdown as far as that's concerned, but It's I intend to put sound in it, and hopefully if Graham sorts out how to do the smoke, I may have a go at doing that as well, but we'll see. But as I say, it's the lazy option, but it is a fantastic piece of equipment, fantastic loco, really well detailed. So I thought I had an opportunity to buy it, so I thought I'd buy this, and it gives me a bit of enthusiasm to get on with the little O-gauge layout. So I thought I'd just show you that. Anyway, that's about it, so I shall finish here, try and get on with some of the updates on the layout I've mentioned, and let you know what's happened. Thanks for watching. Any comments, usual, please feel free to leave them, and subscribe if you want. Thanks very much. Bye for now.